Hi everybody, this is Designo Richard Smith the Clown, and I want to show you how to create a Stencil Auguste. I wrote an article in the New Calliope, and I believe it was in the July-August 2018 magazine. It is the magazine called the New Calliope, and it is by an organization called Clowns of America International, which I've been a member of for about 30 years. It's a great organization, and if you'd like to see it, you go on my COAI and visit it and see it. It has several different kinds of memberships. It depends on your age and so forth. Anyways, I'll do the advertising at the end. But without them, I probably would have never had this wonderful article. I believe it's 4 pages long. It could be 5. And what we're trying to do is we're doing a Stencil Auguste. Each one of these originally are black and white. It's usually shrunk down to the size of your face. You put it next to your face. It fits it. You can shrink it down even more. And then this is totally colored in to what you want your face to look like. And then you cut out the stencils, and the stencils are like this. They are made out of cardstock. You double layer the cardstock. You want it flexible, but whatever. And then you laminate it. And that makes it more durable. No matter what makeup you get on it, you can just wipe them off. I only have one that's laminated here, but this gives you an idea. It's here. It's your first one. There's your second one. And this is your third. Give you an idea what they look like. This black wouldn't be there. It's basically there so you know that's where your eyebrow goes. That's actually cut out. And when you're outlining it, there is your next one. It gives where your highlight is going to be on your cheek. And then you do your last one. You can see it. It's right here on my face. I'm going to lay this next to it. You can see this here is right here. You lay it there. If your face is fatter, you draw it out. If it's smaller, you go in. If you want it down, you pull it down on your face. You can also shrink these when you're printing them to be any size you want. The reason why I created these is when I'm on a trip, I want perfect symmetry. And it's very hard for me, having tri-vision, to get exactly the same shape on both sides. So when I apply it, I lay it on my face, I take the pencil, I outline it, come around, I put the next stencil on, which is here, right where the Cupid's bow is. I draw around it. I get my pips exactly where I need them, my bottom lip, and that's what it looks like just outlined. If you want, you can do them in color, so you know where the color is going as you're doing it. You can also do them all in just black and white and put them on your face. I like to color them in because it tells me there's where the red's going, here's what it is, and this is what the finished look is. I don't always have this exact sheet in front of me, even though that would make sense. What it has to be is totally opened to where you're going to be stenciling. It's the same thing with this. You're basically, out of this one, you're trying to get this design right through here and to come to here. Then you take your next stencil, place it right here, and what you're doing is going around to here. Your last stencil is the small one. You're taking your small one and putting it here and drawing a line around that. It's as simple as this. If you don't have pencils, you can use a fine #1 paintbrush with your paint on it. Go back. Right here. Come down. And do here. If you find what you're looking for is symmetry, is this the same height as over here? If it's not, you're just taking your baby wipe, wiping it off, and then just move it a little more straighter this way or this way to get it. Now you can see, here's your Cupid's bow. If I needed to make it smaller, because I'm going to be around children, I will pull it in, and you can see I'm at least a ½ inch smaller. All of my features are going to be half its size. Even my muzzle is going to be smaller. It's going to have a smaller line down here when it comes together. And you can see the difference in the size. Now, like I said, when I'm up close with children, and I was doing a lighter goose, but I want this kind of face, I'm going to do a smaller one. It's the same thing with the mouth. Instead of making the mouth so big, you can make it smaller by just taking your last one and you're just bringing it in more, and you're making your small, or you use the lid of your Pro pencil and just create your circle. What you do is you just outline it, place it here, and you end up with a smaller circle. Once that's all done, you can set it with baby powder, and your set it with baby powder, and you'll have the perfect stencil made on your face. You're just looking for symmetry. Is this part the same over here? If not, you just wipe it out, just rearrange it. But I'll tell you, almost 98% of the time, you're ending up with the exact same shape on each side. Our faces are not perfect. One side is always slightly up more or slightly down. And by putting the stencil on, you can make it even. So you're just rearranging it. This way you're not ending up with a big huge circle here and a smaller circle here, because you put a perfect pattern next to your face. You can't get it any bigger because this isn't any bigger. The only difference is whether you're moving the position more straighter, more arched, or anything like that. And like I said, you can make this bigger or you can make it smaller. Now this is just showing you how to use the stencil, how to put it on your face and do the outline. I want to see what this looks like, and then I'm going to redo this tape. But I'm just trying to figure out whether I'm demonstrating how to use the stencils. If I can't get the first part to you, it is going to help you with anything else. Let's just say we closed it, went back on, and now it's time to fill it in. You can use a Pro pencil, go back and fill it. They don't make Pro pencils on certain things anymore. Priscilla Moosberger sells the replacement pencil that's large. I use the small old Pro pencil to outline it. And like I said, you can also use a #1 fine tip. You put it on your hand with the makeup, load it, put the stencil up, and you're slightly outlining like this and going around. I usually say don't stop, keep flowing. The more you stop, the more edgy it is, but you don't have to worry. You're trying to make sure it's as symmetrical as you can, and then you're going to fill it in. You're going to go back and lightly clean it out. But this way you're ending up with an even shape on both sides. You can also see if the shape moves and works with you. If you find that your mouth is not getting bigger and not getting smaller, you can tip it in, tip it out, make it wider out, bring it in more. but you're going to have exactly the same design on the opposite side. Fascinating, isn't it, right? The main point of what I said is I can't stand when symmetry is off, so I'm a costume maker. And because I'm a costume maker and a licensed hairdresser, your hair has to be even. The new cuts that's long on one side and short on the other drives me nuts, but fashion is fashion. Anyways, so if you don't want to use either one of these to fill it in, you can use a sponge. I recommend a small sponge. These are called teardrops, and they are cosmetic sponges. You can buy them at all different stores. I'm not sure if Priscilla is carrying them yet, but they come in different sizes. There's a full size that's right here. The problem is when you go to do the cheek area or the mouth, this is too big. But if you're doing a complete white face, this is terrific. They also make them smaller on a stick. Now, the reason why I like this is because I don't have makeup all in my fingers, all over me, and then I have to scrub out my hands before I go on a job. I seldom ever have makeup all over me. The only place I put my makeup is on the top of my hand. And after I do each color, I wipe it off so I'm not making a mess and my fingers are totally free. The main part is if I put it on my finger and I'm busy doing things, touching things, the makeup is going all over the place. So I put the makeup on. I never touch my makeup. I don't contaminate it. This makeup is from Mexico. I had some great friends from Mexico that did a class. I fell in love with it. It has such a high pigment. I basically look for white foundations that have the most white pigment that you can get. And when I'm in competition or going for a photo shoot, I like using ultra white powder, setting powder. And the combination of those makes my white so bright and so great. It's unbelievable. Also, the Pro Extra White setting powder has an antiperspirant thing on it and keeps it from cracking or getting wet. So I absolutely love that. All right. So because my hands are not warm like most people, I have a tendency to have ice cold hands. I'm warming it up with the stick, as you can see, smoothing it out. I cut my little paper towels so I'm not having all the stuff all over the place. I take my little sponge. Now if I was going inside the eye, I would have two of these. I would have one with the makeup on here, and I can get inside the eye. And when I'm doing the outside, I would then have my second one that's loaded and do the outside. So we basically have the design. We're loading the sponge. There's a sponge right here. Right here. We're loading the sponge. And you go to another area, and that gives you an idea how thick it's going to be. Get around the edge so you don't end up with things. But once you season the sponge, it's usually pretty good. When you're first doing it, it isn't loaded evenly. Go up to where your lines are. You can pat and drag if you want, or you can pat all the way. It's all up to you. Also, if you didn't do this stenciling and you wanted to apply the makeup yourself, you can do it this way too. The best part about the sponge is what you normally would have done with your finger, you're doing it with this. So you're loading it up, coming into the area. Remember, we're trying to do all this area right here in white. We're also going to do the muzzle, which is this section here. All right, come down to the bridge of the nose. I think the most important part of this is you're going to come back and clean up the line. You do need a finger space in between the two whites, or you're going to end up looking like a white face trying to fight out to get to be in a goose. You come down, go to the side of the nose. And to show you where I'm human, I went into the cheek area. I should have kept this tiny little cheek area without the white in it. So I'm going to need to clean that out. the more you do this, the quicker it is to apply. It seems like now that the face is taking an awful lot of time for the effort, and using a stencil should be faster. It is when you use this for several times and you know exactly where you want to place everything. Now normally, if you had full eyebrows, you would have taken a glue stick and you would have run it over your eyebrows and flattened them down, set them, and then applied the white over them. And when you're doing this, you can also just brush the eyebrows one way, then brush them the other, and sometimes that has them lay down. The worst thing that you can see on a clown's face is two sets of eyebrows. They really draw your attention to wondering if the person is really doing the best work they can in doing a face. Like I said, you use a glue stick. Wipe them down. If you've got real heavy ones, you can use a eyebrow comb. It's very, very fine. And brush them down to lay as flat as you can. Once they lay flat, you want to go back and set them, and then come back and put your white makeup on top of them. I bring my white right up into my nose, because if my nose slips or anything, you're not going to have the wrong thing there. You can, if you want, you can bring your Auguste down into this area, but I find that if I do that, it just can get sloppy looking. Okay. Remember, I'm telling you to do your eyebrows in one direction, and then you're doing in the other, and you're coming back and patting them. If you didn't do the stencil, you can easily do just what I'm doing now. I cannot see where the stencil is. I can look for the ridge. See, I have a very ridgy forehead where all the muscles are. I can actually find the top ridge and follow it, and then come down the nose. But like I said, in competition, it would drive me absolutely nuts that afterwards I have a picture and I find out that my face is not even on both sides. When we put our makeup on in mornings for competition, we always spend more time on ourselves, because it's your one time in the sun. And you win, and you get to keep that title for 3 years. You can't compete in that category in that organization if you win first place. You can come back and compete again if you're second or third or top 10 in the same category. Once you win in that costume, there's a new rule. Next year, you cannot take the exact same costume and go into seniors with the same face. You have to create a whole different thing with a whole new costume and everything to go into another category for the 3 years. How do I know that? I had a great friend that competed in character, and then he went into a goose and basically wore the same thing, and they basically did a lot of screaming. So you don't want to get disqualified. You got to read the rules. In every organization, instead of us all having the same rules and doing the same thing, every organization has its own little game it plays. I've been a judge to the Shriners. I have also been competed at World Clown, and I've judged makeup for many years at COAI. I love judging. I give you my honest opinion, and whether you're in my costume that I've made, or you're in a Priscilla Moosberg or a Betty Cash or any of the other designers, I'm looking for the face first, and then I'm looking at the costume, and then I'm looking at your personality. When you're walking around, as you're walking around, I'm looking at your personality. I'm seeing what's going on. You can't do shtick, but I'm looking for your face and what you're doing and how you are a clown. And then you stand on your stage and you make your 4 turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you do your pose. And then you stand there, and it seems forever to wait for the judges to give you their opinion. In the old days, you used to have to hang around, and it could take hours and hours just to find out who top 10 is. You don't know who first is, but if everybody is together in the top 10, you kind of figure out who's 1, 2, and 3. Not necessarily are they in that order, but you can basically you can see the difference of quality and everything if you can remember their pose. That gives you an idea right there. All right. So since I went in here, you're going to need to clean it out. But that's basically giving you that idea. You take your Q-tip, and clean out your line. Like I said, what you're looking for is symmetry. If you smile, what does that line turn into? It should get bigger. It should go outward, pop the face, change its shape. If it stays where it is, it's on the wrong muscle. If when you're smiling, it doesn't move outward and give you a total different look, you need to come down more, you need to round it a little more. You'll see as I'm doing it exactly what I'm talking about. When I go to a convention, one of my biggest thrills is actually watching people like Priscilla Mooseberger, Frosty Little, Button McBride, and other clowns put their makeup on that I admire. I could sit for hours and watch their technique. How they make faces while they're doing it. Then making faces to stiffen their face, or it freezes it in a certain position, and they can clean out the lines. It's kind of like a man when he shaves. He doesn't just bring the thing, he has to go like this with his face, this with his face, as he's shaving to remove it. It's the same thing when you're doing makeup. You have to basically clean. When you see any of the clown characters, I think the Auguste character is, especially from Puerto Rico, South America, that do basically this unique white and everything everywhere, is the most fascinating because it is not a fast face. It is a face that takes time. You're bringing out more of your features. It has to be perfect on both sides, or you're going to end up with a mouth going down here or whatever. Like I said, what I'm doing is making faces like this, which tightens the skin and holds it into a position where I can get the angle I'm looking for. See what I'm talking about? Before it was straighter, now it's rounder. And until I get exactly the arch I want on that cheek. Now this is all freehand. This was stenciled. One way or the other, the difference is that you're going to see at the end, I'm not exactly getting the exact same size on this. And by putting the stencil on, I know the shape is exactly as that stencil. When I'm doing it all freehand, it's going to be very hard to match this up. It's going to take just as much time going off, on, add, off, on, add. But, and if I take too long doing this, I'm going to need to come back before I set my makeup. All of these lines are actually, if you really, really look at it, have started to crease. And unless I go back in there and pat, especially the eyelid and the crow's feet, if I went to set it before doing this again, I will have all those creases, and let me tell you, it is very hard to fix them. I can, because all I have to do is get rid of the excess powder, load up my sponge, and slowly pat it with this makeup until it smoothens out again. But you have to make sure that you're not leaving extra makeup, because if you do, you're going to end up with the extra makeup getting oilier quick, and then you have it separating again. Once it's done, and the bottom is done, you can go on to red, and your face is doing a whole wet method. The only problem is when you go to set your face with all the makeups, the chances of getting the red into the white is almost 75 or more. Now this side is totally softer, it's rounder and everything. This side is more straight, precise. The only difference I made a mistake was there's supposed to be red in here. If I put the red in there right now, it would turn pink. I can do that, but it just depends whether I like it. This also has an indent here for the eyebrow. Without the indent, my eyebrow does not move. If I just did a white, it's just going to be outlined and create just an arch. I have to make a slight dip and then come around, come in towards the eye. I like round. Some people like coming straight down. It depends on the shape of your face. I'm trying to create an oval face. There are several kinds of shapes of faces. There is a pear shape, a diamond, a box, a rectangle, and there's an oval face. The perfect face is an oval face. Everybody can create an oval face on themselves by camouflage. If you had a long face, a long chin, you can create the muzzle that makes it smaller. It just depends. If you've come out too much, you just take your little cosmetic tab, put it back in. You're patting it out so you don't have to go back with your finger and do it. And you're going back with your Q-tip. like I said, if you take too much time doing this, what's going to happen is it's going to start cracking and separating. What happens is your makeup will stay sitting on the muscle, and actually the crack has less makeup in it. So it's reverse. Your cracks don't have any makeup in it. And the worst thing you can do is try to put too much makeup in that crack, which means you have too much makeup on the outside and too much makeup on the inside. So when you, if you can see the cracking that's there, you go back with your sponge, touch the area, and you see how it worked. Now I have so many minutes or seconds to set this with powder, or it's going to do it all over again. So anyways, go in. What you're looking for is, I do this until my white feels the slightest little tacky. It almost feels dry to the touch. And once I do that, I know it's smooth. There's no excessive makeup left on. And now I take my powder. This is my powder puff. I've already seasoned it, which means it already has powder on top. I then sprinkle just a little more. If you notice that when you take your puff away, you have foundation there, it means that you haven't powdered your face, banged your face down and smoothed out your makeup enough, and you've left makeup on your face too much. Your face should almost, like I said, feel slightly tacky, almost dry, and you've smoothened it out. If you see any shiny parts, real shiny, you need to go back and pat it. It should look moderately, almost like a light powdering and everything. If I wait too long, you can see there's the powder puff. Go over a trash barrel and lightly shake it. That got rid of any excess. I have very large nostrils. So when I touch my face, I have to make sure I'm not breathing in, because any kind of powder is not good for your lungs. Like I said, in competition, right now I would be using ultra white baby powder, face powder. And what that does is it takes this white and it pops it. I mean, it's absolutely great. Now, like I said, if your face has been patted as much as I have, you shouldn't have to put an awful lot of powder on your face. As I'm doing this, I'm feeling if it's tacky. If it's tacky, I usually stop and put more powder on this. But I can touch my face and I don't feel any tackiness at all. Totally dry. Don't rush and get this, brush this off. if you brush this off real fast, what happens is you're not letting it absorb all the extra that's there. If you patted it like I said, there is not any real excess, but you can see my face. And where I'm basically patting off is because my next color is a goose. If I leave any of this powder in where I'm going to put the goose, it won't stick. It's going to give me a hard time. So I need to definitely brush off any excess powder without really wiping off all the white. I can wipe it all off if I want, just like this. But sometimes that might get wet again. So we have freehand, no real definition in line. This one with the stencil created the dip, went around, created the cheek effect. It did the muzzle area, which is here, and it gave me the opening of my mouth, which is very important. If you think you have powder on your face.
Hello? Hello? Oh, hi. I'm proposing it. No.
You can go back if you're afraid that you've got too much powder on your face. I have a little bit of alcohol with water on a paper towel. And what I do is I clean out all the areas that I'm going to put my next colors. I usually leave extra powder here and don't take it off, because when I do my lip, I can actually go up, and if I go up and touch it, it'll go right into the white, and then I'll have to go and try to repair it. I'm just giving you an idea. Like here, I went up further to give you a different point of view if I'm creating the chin. If you look at the face this way, that's the stencil face. If you look at this, this is more the free hand. Everybody likes something of their own, but I just wanted to give you an idea that yes, can I do it without stencils? Yes. And I never like to just do the whole thing just stencil, because you don't see, you have the ability to put it on fast the other way too. All right, so now we put the white away. Take the white off your hand. Even if you need to add white coming down, it's best to wipe everything off, get rid of it, and get ready for your next color. I have a nice trash barrel there. It's not everything's going on the floor. The next color is the Auguste. If I was being up close with kids and I didn't want a real bright, this is a Pro Face. It's not the lightest color, it's the medium coral. And this is really beautiful. It photographs great. Everything's terrific about it. Applies perfect. I believe that Priscilla Moosberger sells this. There are several other people, but I try to stay with vendors that are with my organization, Clowns of America International. The one that I have is the color I made myself. I took several products, and it's a deeper orangey color coral orange. And the warmer the weather, the darker it gets. And the darker it gets, the more professional look it is. I just absolutely love it for a stage point of view. This makeup is probably 10 years old. I do not touch my makeup inside with my hands. I always use a popsicle stick. I take out the amount that I believe I'll use. If I don't use it, I throw it away. Depending on if I was doing a small thing, I would just put a little. It still has to be on your hand, warming it up. This Auguste combination makeup is several companies that have the same base in it. Makeups have lanolins, they have oils, natural people use sometimes cottonseed oils, and different products. So when I mix products together, I always make sure that they have a similarity to the base. Yeah, of course, you have to be almost a chemist. I'm a licensed hairdresser, and my specialty was color and mixing beauty products to create creams and conditioners for your face. So you have to know what the base is of different creams, whether it's a natural oil or whether it's polymers or rose waters and stuff like that, and what keeps it together. Some makeups have certain kinds of oils, like I said, cornseed oil, several different kinds of oils. Even some have baby oils in them, or a product like a lanolin oil. Anyways, the point is, you can mix those together. I do it. I wouldn't suggest, if you don't know chemistry, you should put them together because your product can have a reaction. Now, I go back with the exact same small sponge. I can use a large one to do the full size of my face. And then when I'm coming in, I do the smaller one. I'm not going to do all the way down my neck. I've already had 3 undershirts that will probably be stained by this stuff. I do wear this undershirt or undershirts just like this with my costumes. When I sweat, the sweat and the oil goes into here. If the water comes out, it doesn't wreck my costumes. Yes, it's warmer and hotter, but my costumes weigh a ton anyways because they're all lined. But I never, even when I'm wearing underwear, I always wear boxers. I don't normally wear boxers, but I wear boxers as my clown because the legs are longer and they protect the crotch area and everything from the sweat. And it keeps the pants lasting longer too. If you don't, I would suggest getting underarm shields. All right, so you can load it, then come around your design, come down the side of the face. Don't go into the red area. The best part about the sponge is this is the exact same. If you want to get into areas, you got this side. If you want to do the patting and the rubbing and the applying with the rounder one. It depends on which side, but if you're going to use both, you can't use both sides at the same time because you're going to end up with a handful of makeup. I like this side, but if I was trying to get inside my eye, I would use that side. Anyways, it's on top of my hand. I load it. I come to an area that's semi-clean, seeing how much is on my sponge. Make sure that you don't have a ring around the edge with the full makeup, and that it's pretty much patted even on it. Go back, come down, go around, do the opposite side. Now you can actually take a paintbrush. My friends from Puerto Rico, South America, actually take paintbrushes, a flat one of number 3 or 4, good firm bristles. Usually it's sable, and they'll actually fill the brush and go around the white if my ears were to show, I'd have to do my ears for competition. I don't like to get makeup in my ears. As I get older, you have to put all that baby oil and everything to clean them out. And you have days when you wake up, days that you wake up and you've actually got the makeup still on your pillows because it gets into your hair. If I have been doing this face faithfully, I can put this face on very, very fast. But if I'm going for a photo shoot, remember, every time you're in your clown, you could end up being in the newspaper. You could end up being on television and not even know your picture is going to be there. And then you find out, oh my God, I should have made more of an effort. It's like your mother says, if you're going out, make sure you have clean underwear. She's always afraid that if something happens to you and she goes to the hospital, she's going to find you with your torn, ripped underwear on, and it's quite embarrassing. And let me tell you, with my recent illnesses, not to have a clean pair of underwear when you're stripped, when you get into the hospital, can be quite embarrassing. So the old underwear are pretty much thrown out. As I said, you're going back and you're now patting it out like you would with your fingers. You keep patting this until you can feel the texture difference. If you've ever done any kind of makeup in anything, when you do it, when you're first doing it, it gets sticky, and it's sticking to it when you touch it with the sponge. As you keep doing this, it gets less resistance. It's almost like, it feels like it's almost dry. Your brush lines or your pull lines are evening out. You're not seeing them anymore. Also, remember to keep making faces. As you make faces, what you're doing is you're locking in the area so you can go back and you're keeping a nice smooth line. Once you like what it is, remember you'd come back normally into the neck and everything, depending on what you're wearing. I actually, just like my white face, I have an Auguste hood I can wear. So I don't have to make up my neck or my ears because my hood actually covers everything. People, when I'm competing, always go, "You cheated. You didn't have to do that. I put makeup all over the place." I will tell you, as a judge, I'm basically looking for a nice, crisp look. I'm not giving more points to somebody who made up their neck versus someone that didn't. I'm also, if you use a hood or a collar, it should match the foundation of your makeup. So I actually take my foundation and put it into the material. Now, even though I'm going to be wearing a nose, and you're not going to see it, I still have to put a foundation on my nose. I have to put a foundation on my nose. Now, I've set the white. I now look at it. Do I see any real wet spots? If I see a wet spot, go back and pat it until it feels, like I said, that almost like it feels like it's dry. It feels like you've already put powder on it, but it needs a little more powder. You should not see any streaks or any excess makeup, even next to your white or anything. If you have too much makeup later on, it's only going to crack there and cause a problem smearing when you go to repair it or fix it. So if you like it and everything, I have my Auguste one. It's already been primed. Some people say, I got to pat one of these and it's got all makeup in it. And I said, well, if it's got all this makeup in it, it means that you did not pat your face out and smoothen it. You left too much makeup on your face. Your face should have a foundation, but you're not trying to put a foundation 2.5 miles thick. If your face isn't dark enough, putting more and more makeup on ain't going to help you. You need to get a makeup that's the right color for you, darker color. And it should be a thin amount of makeup on you. The more you put on, the more it's going to crack, the more you're going to have problems with it. Anyways, I start at the top again. Remember what I said about breathing. You want to make sure you're not breathing all this stuff in. And before I started powdering, I should have removed my makeup from my hand. Even if I have to go back and repair something, if as I'm doing the powder and I haven't removed this makeup, I will have this makeup on the table, on my arms, on everything, and the whole point of keeping it neat and clean is thrown out the window. Okay, so the hand is moderately cleaned. We're going back. Usually I have to do this pat with this face and everything no more than 4 times, loading it. Now what I'm looking for is wet spots. Anything that's shiny, something that looks like it needs powder. If I waited too long in between, I took too long putting the foundation on, it can crack just like the white. The only thing you can do with that is move on or dust it off and re-pat the face in that area with makeup until it's light again, and then set it with powder. Repairing something is not that complicated if you have years of experience. When you do stage makeup for productions, you don't have time to strip off a face. you have to learn to what makeup can you apply over it to wet it down or slightly lift it, and what can you do. If you can see how clear that is, that means that I didn't have over amount of makeup, number one. Two was I had this well seized or enough powder in it. When I go to put it away, I always make sure I rub a full amount on it, just like this. Rub it in. You should shake it lightly over, and when you're going to pat your face, nothing should be falling out. If it's falling out, you got too much powder in there. And you go back, and anywhere it is light or wet looking, just lightly pat it. Remember what I said, don't breathe it in, because it's not good for your lungs. And if you breathe it in too much, after you get into clowning, everything, your nose is going to run. And you're going to get your funny kind of throat thing. Take your pad. On the back of it is always written what it is. This is the Auguste. The other one says white face. This one is the red and the black, and I also have miniature ones to get into small areas, and they're all exactly pre-seasoned too. By pre-seasoning all these, getting them ready, you're not doing all this and getting them, you just have everything right, and then you can put them all in a zippy bag and put them away. All right, so you're looking for anything that's wet looking. There's nothing wet. And I don't want to dust off the whole face because my next color is red. So wherever the red is going to go, that's what I want to dust. So we have a brush that is just for the Auguste makeup. We have one that's just for the red. What we're going to do is use, I want to use the white again because I don't want to get any of the Auguste powder on the white areas. Okay. Now I'm going to get my red. This red is from Jim Howell's, and it was called Circus. I absolutely love it. It's a deep red. I have had this since I went to Seaside Heights, and it's years and years ago. And because I don't touch the makeup, Jim made a perfect thing, and I keep it in a temperature control area, which means it doesn't go under 60, it doesn't go over 60 something. And it lasts for God knows how long. If you notice it separating first, you can stir it. If it keeps separating and it has a funny smell, it's gone bad. But if the makeup keeps its regular sheen it's supposed to, it should be fine. Put it on top of your hand. You're warming it up again, because even if it's Jim's or anyone's makeup, it really needs to be worked in, so you're not grabbing, if it's slightly separated or anything, you're grabbing the real oily part of it. So you're mixing it just like if you were at a paint store and they're shaking up your can. They're taking all the oils and all the things and evening it. I like this Circus red, it's Circus Red, Apple Red, and I just absolutely love it. It is a beautiful, bold color. If I was doing my own nose, I would take a cap that's the right size, lightly put it on the hand, it covers the rim, and then touch the nose. If the nose is going to be outlined in black, I use a black one. If my nose is going to be another color, it's going to be glitter, but I want it outlined in red, I then do it in red. If I'm going to outline the nose in white, I do the same thing in white. But this is my secret. Just like my pixels, my nose. Perfect circle fits the size. If I just did a circle on the end of my nose, children always say I look like the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz. So I've got to make it bigger. And even when I make it bigger, they still, because of the length of my nose, always say I look like the Tin Man in Clown. Anyways, the next point is, because it's a small area, we have to use brushes. This is a number 3 flat brush. And what I do is I don't overload it. I don't put all the makeup up into here. If you do, just rub it towards the tip. Flatten the tip down. You're not putting on a huge cake of it. If you notice that your makeup is not running smooth, it means there's powder there. Once you apply the makeup, to go back and actually try to dust out the area ain't gonna work. It is not gonna work, because you're not gonna be able to get that away from it. So you want to make sure that you either used a baby wipe or an alcohol rub and clean out any excess powder. Now, in Mexico, South America, they actually use this brush around all the white with their Auguste makeup. They even do the same thing to put on their white. They do the brush, they come around the area. What I'm also doing is I'm patting it out. I can't get my fingers in there without wrecking the white. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the flat of the brush and I'm patting it out. And just like the sides, I'm doing it until I feel is light. You see the extra powder that came off? If I went to do the red down there, I wouldn't be able to succeed. Now, if you have the white there, and you're going over it with the red to create more of a roundness, you're going to find that that's going to turn pink after a while. As long as you get the red on it, you can go back with a Q-tip, clean out the area, and reapply the red. But it's a way of getting the area where you're trying to create the perfect bubble. You see what I mean if it doesn't move? Now, with this face, I want an extra large muzzle. Most of the time, I don't like big muzzles. But this is a dramatic costume. It's a big costume, so the face has to be big. The hair is big, so the features have to be big. It's also for the circus. Now remember what I told you. What you have to do is when you're done with this, you can't play around with it. You have to like it, like the shape and everything, and you have to set it. If you don't set it and you wait, your lips are going to totally crack. Like I said, one side I'm using the stencils and I'm staying with exactly the shapes of the stencil. The other side is freehand. So the mouth is going to be bigger, the pip's going to be bigger, it's going to have a different angle because I'm doing it freehand. I'm not trying to get it to exactly match. It would be nice if it did, but I'm showing the difference of the two sizes. As I'm talking, my bottom lip is starting to stain the top. We're going to clean that at the end. If I clean it right now, I'm going to have to clean it again. Normally, what you do is your two cheeks first. If you were in the circus or on a stage, these lines would be bigger and bolder. When you're up close to a child, the lines are thinner and paper. But from a stage point of view, this has to be more dramatic. Well, you're making your faces. But when you're up close, this is smaller cheek, smaller lines going around. Even the line that's going around here would be fine. This side is going to be paradability and the stage. Also, the cheek is bigger and more dramatic. Remember, if you don't pat, you're going to end up with clumps on your face, and you'll have spots that are going to get wet as you're at your event. There's nothing worse than your face starting to get wet looking. I sometimes, because of the heat and everything, will take one of those powder puffs with me with powder on them and already done, and can just touch up my face if it gets wet. Like the way it looks? Like I said, they're not going to match because I'm showing you freehand and I'm showing you the difference of a stage face versus a casual, more softer face. And this is more with the stencil. If you're not able to see both, you go, great class, but I wish I could have seen you do it regular without the stencil on the opposite side. So you're getting both classes at once, which is great. Anyways, patted it out as much as I could with the brush. You could go back with your finger. But I find when I do this, I sometimes get the makeup on whatever. This is the time where you need to remove the makeup that's on the upper lip. Because once you set it with powder, it's going to be very hard, and there's nothing worse than a red upper lip when it's not supposed to be in with the design. Some people don't mind that red. They don't really see it that much, so it doesn't bother them. As long as it has a slight arch to it, it's not bad. But if it starts going up into the mouth, it just gives a sloppy look. So if you like it, and you set it. That's what it's going to look like if I set it and don't remove it. And we're having a good day. We haven't had a seizure yet. And my seizures are a narcolepsy. So I can go to sleep anytime. And it can last for quite a while. My longest one so far has been 45 minutes. Cleaned. And now we have to set it.
Hello. Please leave a message after the tone.
Looking for wet spots again. And like I said, if you really see it heavy and wet, it means I left too much makeup on there. And I just write a note next time in my head I need to. Where you'll find most places is where your white or your Auguste meet. Because usually that line, you're afraid to rub too much. Now with the black, you can use a Pro pencil, or you can use the regular oil makeup. I use a pencil eyeliner, waterproof. And what that does for me is I don't have to go back and set it. If I don't have to put any more baby powder or setting powder on my face, the better I feel. The more I have to put the powder, the more chances of getting one color over the other. I leave this exactly like it is for a while to see if there are any wet spots. Usually the wet spots are inside the mouth. And I've got to be careful because if I put any more up my nose or any down in my throat, I'm going to be thirsty. All right, so we now have the red one. This is the red brush. So there was a white brush and a goose brush, and now we have a white brush. I mean a red brush. You still want to avoid brushing up into the white. If you brush up into the white, you're going to have pink white. So always brush away from it. If it feels like it's tacky in a place, don't keep brushing it with your brush. You need to go back and pat it with some more baby powder or powder. And I usually leave some powder on my lip, because usually with talking and doing stuff, it starts getting wet again, no matter how much I set it, and I don't want to wreck it. So if you're going to use the eyeliner, any excess powder has to come off. So switch back to your white brush and clean out any excess. Make sure that you're not getting this into your Auguste makeup. If you do, you're going to end up with a brush that's no longer white. Okay, anything excess is gone. We now need to take our black makeup, which is on the black tray with everything on it. Every one of my colors is on a tray so I can move it around. The black is there, and I need to remove the red makeup first so we don't get it over everything. And like I said, it's better to go back and add something than to get this all over the place. Even though I'm using a outliner, a black makeup liner, waterproof, I still need to create the perfect circles. And just like I did the mouth, I want to take the cap of the Pro pencil or the extra large pencil that took its place. I want to go up to where the arch is and create a circle. I want to go to the other side, and because there's no dimple there, I'm basically checking, are they both the same height? They're perfect round. Same thing with the pips. I do the same thing with the red. Do a circle, color it in, it's always the same shape. It's the same thing as if I was doing my little nose and my Perot. I put this with the black, go like this, make sure it's clean in the middle, set it, and then I put red over it. And after I do the red, I then touch it with the glitter, and it's set. This is my liquid eyeliner. That's a red one. It comes in red, and the opposite side is your tear on the side of your face if you wanted red. I have black. It comes in all different sizes, a fine one, and it comes with the tear end and a bullet brush. The only problem with this is it does not like powder. Most of the time I do this all in black, and I set it in powder, brush off the powder, and come back and do it again. If I do it again, it doesn't need to be set. If I do it in the first place, I don't need to go back and set any of this that I'm doing with powder. It's an amazing thing. You can buy these. I'm not sure if Priscilla is starting to carry these, but they're worth their weight in gold. Remember, you don't want to use them on powder. They're great on makeup because when I go to take my makeup off, it comes right off. If I put this on my regular skin, it's going to stay more on your skin. It's going to take a little more effort to get it off. So you do want to put it over makeup. All right. We're going to color in the circles first. Go to the opposite side. Now, with the liquid eyeliner, for some reason, it normally goes over whatever color you have there, and it doesn't turn gray. If I did a Pro Pencil, it could turn gray on me. If it does turn gray, just wipe out the area. What it'll actually do is get down to the base, and then you can go back you can see, even if I have an eyebrow higher than I usually wear, I have perfect movement. It gets bigger and it moves out. Now I'm going to do a tail. What I want to do is a thin line first and go back. If you do a thick line, you can't repair it. If you were using, even if you're using the, you can repair it. You can go back with a Q-tip, wet it, draw the line before it really sets. What I want to do is follow around the white. Come around the side, come down to the side of my face, then what you're going to do to get more strength, you can go back. The reason why you stay below is if you go up too much, you have a straight line and it doesn't change its shape. Fill out the line slightly going up, but still keep a teardrop shape. If you go too straight, it becomes an arm going across, and you lose half of the expression. And the movement. Also, this line, the bigger you make it and the bolder, the more masculine it becomes. If your character needs more strength, more masculinity, they have bolder lines. If you're going for a softer, younger look, the lines should be lighter. But if you're in the circus and you're on a stage, if these lines are tiny and small, if you saw the black line I just did, remember that red one? You can barely see the red now. We can always go back and even it out and make it all the same thickness. And the more you press down on this, the wider it is. I usually tell people, take your hand and practice the pressure. The more you press down, the wider the line. As you see, a light line is lightly touching it, like that. The more you press down on it, the bigger it is. You can create teardrops, just like that. That's also, you can do the same thing with an eyebrow. Come up here, press down, and it creates an eyebrow. Go back up, start at the bottom, and go up, and marry it together. Then go to the top. This is what I was talking about. If you go too far straight and too far up, you have a straight line. Total different changes the look. Some people like the softer side, some people like that. If I came more up with a dot here, it could be a sarcastic look. Everything you do in changing this eyebrow totally changes whether he's a happy younger person or a more serious clown with more dramatic look. See, when you go up, they disappear into the creases. So if you notice that when you're making your big eye, it disappears, you may need to make it even bigger. I know when I'm soft, it looks already big, but when I'm making expressions, you don't want your line to really disappear too much, but it also shows drama to your face. So we've outlined it. Now, depending on the face, I usually even come with a line here around the cheek to point it out. It just draws it out more. See the difference from a distance? When you're looking up close, you go, oh, I don't think I would have outlined that. Everybody has a different opinion, and you're allowed it. Now, while you're doing this, if the pen is grabbing, the reason why it's grabbing is because there's too much powder still there and you need to brush it off. Some of you would say, oh, you know, I liked it without the black lines. I thought it was better. It looks whatever. It's basically, like I said, it's like a ballerina. If you saw her up close with her stage makeup on, you would say, oh my God, it's horrible looking. But from a stage point of view, it is sharp. You can see all my expressions. You can see all my movements. You also have to have good timing. If you are doing a bit and you're racing too much, your people are not getting a chance, your audience are getting a chance to see your different facial movements. You should almost have like a count when you're doing something. You say something, you hold it, hold the expression for so many seconds, and move on to the next part of it. If you're rushing, they just miss all the expressions. They miss what you're saying. You're rushing too many ideas. Makeup is the same thing. If you're putting too much into it, you're not going to end up. I'm going to show you a bolder, like I said, on one side of your face is going to be bolder for stage, and the other one is going to be a Stencil Auguste and lighter. You can see the dramatic difference. Thinner lines, softer looking, but whoa, whoa. Well, I was showing something the other day to one of the ladies. They have the permanent waterproof different symbols. So if you wanted to, you can put a star on your chin. You can put a moon. Done! And now it is perfectly, it doesn't have to be set with powder, it doesn't need anything like that. You have the 3 stars. If you wanted the hearts, the moons, everything's there. It's just big enough. Usually it's bigger if you're on a stage, but it's fine for me. Now I want to go back and outline the eyes. I can switch over to the more finer line one. Excuse me, the finer line. That's a more delicate line than that one. But I'm going to stay with the same product right now so you can see it. I never go all the way into the eye. I start where the color part is. My eyes are brown, and sometimes they look almost chocolate brown. I never go all the way in because I want to keep my eyes out as much. If you had eyes that are too big out, you don't do the outside and you bring it more in. And like I said, I don't have to put baby powder on this. I can do the same thing to the top eye. I'm pulling it to keep it from blinking. Hold it for a second to let it dry. If you let it go, the black will go up and color the up above. It should take about a second to dry. See the difference in the eye? When you do the end tabs, you got to be very careful. If you put them too low, it looks like your eyes are always sad. So you got to go straight back. So if you're pulling them, you want to go like this straight so your eye isn't blinking while you're doing it. But you can see, this is when you can see that one eye is off versus the other. One eye is more brighter, open. My side on this one, it droops more due to a stroke years ago. My face is drooped on one side's more up. It's not paralyzed or anything. I have a numbness to my face. Now, if you're not into doing the eyelashes and everything, you've at least outlined the eyes. Without outlining the eyes, you miss half of the effect, the movements of your eyes. The eyes just don't do anything. They don't pop, they don't move, they don't do anything. And even though you look so professional and everything, you just miss that point. Like I said, if you put it on just your regular skin, you're going to have to use a little alcohol rub or a makeup remover to take it off your regular skin. If it's on makeup, it washes off and breaks down like your regular makeup and comes all off. I usually tell people at the end, when you put the baby oil or your makeup on it, keep rubbing it until it turns gray and leave it. Then rub in the gray and leave it. And wipe it off. If it wipes off and it almost looks totally off your face, it's fine. If you still makeup, rub it back in, leave it alone. The more you keep taking it off and putting it on, the more irritating you're doing your face. Your face only breaks out because you're over-activating it. You're making all of the oil glands move on your face. That's why your face breaks out after you shave. You're rubbing it or taking the razor to it too much. Anyways, here is your outline, your face, your mouth, and so forth. And now we're going to add the color to the eyes. And depending on your costume. Now, whenever I'm wearing my costume, I like, because I have brown eyes, I wouldn't put brown up there. I actually use this dark blue. And some people would say, oh, that's too dark for me. Actually, from a distance, it's a perfect color. If you do baby blue, you just can't see it. So you hold this out. And press it down. Make sure that you don't have any excess powder on this. If you do, it's going to drop on the white and you're never going to get it out. So you have to make sure you tap it to get rid of anything loose. Press. I usually do the whole upper lid, and for some reason, it moves slightly up. It's better than going too high up yourself. Let it go by itself and do it. And I come it into the teardrop, but don't go too far because I don't want to end up with a whole huge blue inner eye. If it's moved up by itself, like it did, you want to go back and round it off. Whatever your secondary color is in your costume, that's going to be your next thing. Most of my costumes have a yellow in it. And you'll see there's two yellows here. I never use the lighter yellow because from a distance, it just looks washed out. It's now time for the rouge. With the rouge comes in several colors. I have all kinds of rouge brushes. They come in all different sizes, shapes, and everything. It's basically learning what and where you want the color. Right now it's just boringly the Auguste. What I do is I pick my lightest color and I put a dot between the eyes. I go to the side where there's a slight dimple and I bring a line down to create an angle. If I like the way it looks, I go back with a slightly darker color. If you like pinker colors, you can put more pink in your face. It just depends on you. This will turn darker with me as I go. I could have used an angle one to create more angles and so forth. You can see that. Now, I'll give you an idea what it looks like when you put a nose on. I know people say, Auguste clowns don't wear glitter. There's a glitter nose. Whoop. there's a glitter nose. I use a glue that is a surgical glue because I'm going to be in my face most of the time for 12 hours. And I don't want to lose my nose. So I put it on my nose, my nostrils. This is a surgical glue that you have to wait for both of them to dry. And once they dry, you apply your nose. But you can't keep taking your nose off and moving it. It's pretty much stuck there. When it's first wet, you can take it off, put it on, take it off, put it on into places. But after that, it's pretty much stuck where it's stuck. Now that's a good goose with a glitter nose. That's what most people are doing today. They're adding glitter to their face. In competition, you're not supposed to, but today a lot of people are breaking the rules. That gives you that Irish long nose. Depending on the wig, it gives you that attitude. I push it a little further back normally. This is my own creation of a nose. I took a nose, cut it up, put more of a tip on it, and then I glitterized it. The nose is wearable and usable, but not in the sense if you're really, really moving around, you have to really put a lot of surgical stuff on it. Now, that was that look. If you went for the longer, more narrow one, that's your long or narrow nose. This is what I'm talking about. If the nose is too small for the face, you go, there's something wrong with that face I don't like. I don't know what it is. It's the nose. It's the wrong size. Now, if the nose is like Cyrano de Bergerac, it could be funny and great if it was long, and then it would match the length of the sides. This is a nose that I would most likely always wear with it. Da-da-da. And now I'm going to show you, the only thing I'm not going to do today is I'm not putting eyelashes on for you. I'm going to show you the difference in the wigs and how the character changes. Right behind are some of my costumes. I'm totally retired now, so please do not call. My favorite friend, Priscilla Moosberger, designs the most beautiful costumes in the world, and she has a stitcher that's out of this world. So give her a call. Anyways, these are my school teacher and my charity costume that if my seizures hold down, I might be able to wear. This is actually a black woman's wig. It's actually $60-something, but it has durability like you won't believe. Of course, at $60-something, it should. It's already, you don't have to worry about cutting it, styling it, and so forth. And what changes it is your different style hats. Turns into a little boy. Hello, how are you? First base, second base. I don't know if you had a third. Slowly change it to a flatter look. Has the same look, but I just don't know. I'm not sure of anything. The edge is soft. You can bring it down, make it look like a rainy day. Got a lot of expressions. Turn it up. You can do anything with it. The hat barely weighs anything. You go with the Mr. Fancy hat. Hello. I'll have salmon on toast, please. and make sure it's not burnt. The toast, that is. The salmon can be as fresh as the water. Same thing with the big hat. This almost reminds you of a cowboy. Flapping it down, turning it up, putting feathers on it. It's a nice Sunday, and I'm out to the circus, right in the center ring for you, just you. So you can see, one wig can totally change the whole design. You see what I mean? It's a different design, a different hat, different attitude. You have a different thing. This is just pomp and pageantry. There's more enough safety pins in here and little those hairdresser's pins, you know, and keeps the hair just perfect for you, you know. I just love a little puff here and there, you know, tease it up, looks beautiful, gives you a whole different look and a different attitude. You know, he's a dandy. He's absolutely a dandy. Dandies are great. Just depends. Each one of these wigs puts on a different personality, and that's the best part of it. Inside you are you. I put a wig on, the clown voice comes out, and Designo goes away. I take the wig off, and all of a sudden, I'm Designo again, still in a clown, but I change my personality. It's terrific. I'm on fire. Yeah, yeah, I'm on fire. Yeah, yeah, I'm on fire, 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 fire. This is also a black woman's wig at a place, and it was roughly around $68 too. It is not just red, it has black in it. It's a terrific wig. It washes great, keeps its shape. It has a terrific cut, gives you a boy's cut, as well as it can be a girl's short haircut. Don't ask me where to get it anymore, because when I buy a wig and I go back, it's never there anymore. Give you an idea, my school teacher. There is my school teacher. She's got all the students in the world. She's got all the bookwork. The virus has held her off, and she's waiting for school to start again. She's got her inchworms. The inchworms are teaching the A, B, C, D, E, F, G. The rest of the alphabet does not count. It does not count at all. It's just fluff. Fluff doesn't mean anything. Well, she has her own watch. She's waiting for the children, ringing the bell and wondering why they're late. When they come, they always say, "I'm throwing pebbles in the lake." I don't know what pebbles is and what the lake is. It has nothing to do with school, but they're always off there throwing pebbles in the lake. Doesn't that sound ridiculous? As I said, I've had fun teaching you this. I hope you love it. Please give your comments at the end. And what you could do for a big favor for me is become a member of COAI. It's an organization that has clowns that are quite dedicated to the skill of it. And we have a great educational bank of past issues that you can go on My COAI and look at all back issues 30-something years. We have vendors that are advertised on it. We have Zoom or Boom, which has educational classes. We also tell you where regionally or areas that are having educational classes and so forth. We have great advertisements, and in our book are stories like this: how to put on your makeup, how to be a clown. As I said, our numbers are going down. Don't wait until our numbers don't exist. We don't have our magazine anymore. Someone says, don't worry, you can go out there and create another organization. Why do that? It's there. Remember, it doesn't matter whether you're 16 years old or a junior Joey or you're 90 years old. We want you all. And even if you're just clowning at heart, our magazine has got a lot. We've got a terrific board right now. If you ever need anything, they're all there. There's a regional VP, Connie. She's a terrific person to talk to. She'll help you with anything and point you in the right direction. We also have a great president, vice president, and the rest of the board, and they're there for any questions too. They'll try to help you with any information you want. I'm not going to get into a clown costume today, but I might down the road and show you a complete look. As I said, this is the stencil look. This is the freehand. This is also the circus face from a distance. This is more closed up. Any of these lines can be made smaller and not so bold. You could have stopped at any point. It's all up to you. Eyelashes on it would give it a more feminine or longer look and more dramatic to the eyes. And you saw the wigs. Anyways, thank you, COAI, for asking me to write in your wonderful magazine. I have done dozens and dozens of articles and several on makeup that you can look at. This one, as I said, was right here. And the article is right inside. And it's detailed on how to do it. You can also feel free to copy this video. Most people want to save them and make a buck. I'm more interested in you becoming a member of my organization. If you don't want to become one and you're giving gifts out, it would be a great gift for someone. It's 6 issues, great education, and it just is, it's from my heart. It's my family. And if you don't have a family, they're going to make you one. Anyways, thank you. And thank you, COAI. Thank you, Sammy, for our editor of the new Calliope. His wonderful wife, Laurel, who got me writing. And my co-editor, Rachel Strand, who helps me put all of my words into a more compact thing. I write articles that are like 8,000 words, and it can't be in our book because there wouldn't be space for anybody else. So they put it in a realistic form and everything for you, and I hope you love them. My subject is about everything. I do every single makeup. I do costuming. I make puppets. I do skits, paradability. I've been a judge, and I'd love to help you. So anyways, give me your feedback. Tell me what you think of this video, and it was a joy today, and I'm glad I didn't have one of my narcolepsy seizures, which means I'd be sitting here and asleep and frozen in my body. But God kept me awake for you today, and I had a joy doing this. So thank you. Hope to see you in the center ring someday. And if you go there and meet my other clown friends, tell them Designo sent you. Thank you. Remember Priscilla Mooseberger. She's a great friend. Bye.